Hey friends, in today's video I'm going to show you how you can make a cool wasp just like this one, step by step. Before I go over the materials and tools, just want to remind you guys to don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click on the bell button, and like and share this video. And without any more delays, let's get started. Okay friends, let's go over the materials first because I don't want to confuse you too much. So let's explain what I'm doing here. I have 12 pieces of wire, and each piece is 12 inches long or 1 foot long, whatever you want to call it. I have 3 pieces of black wire here, and the rest of them are golden yellow or yellow, whatever you want to call it. What I want to mention before I start is do not get too hung up on how I mix the colors, because if you're making it only on one color, then this would not matter to you. I'm doing this because I'm showing you how I do it and how I like to combine the colors for my wasp to look certain way. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. It just matter how you wanted it to look. Okay, so if you want to follow exactly how I do it, then I will show you and you will see why I do it at the end. So I have 3 pieces of yellow here and 3 pieces of black, and these are going to be building the body or the back of our wasp. These wires here, the other 6 wires, are going to help us to build the legs, and these are going to be used like almost at the end, like it will be almost the last thing we're going to do. So that's why I'm going to separate these two, but they are all the same size. Okay, now over here I have 5 pieces of wire, and again I have mixed colors. I have 3 of the gold and 2 of the black. These are going to help me uh, decorate the wings of my wasp, and these are going to be used to make the tail of our wasp. So they have uh, two different purposes. Okay, and I have here 2 pieces of wire, and these are 14-inch long, and I have 1 of each color. So that's going to help us build the backbone or the core of our wasp. You will see in a minute. And this one is a 2 feet long piece of wire, and these are going to be the wings of our wasp. So I want my wings to be gold, and I want the decoration or the interior to be black. So that's why I have 2 different colors. But if you want to make the wings just black or just gold, then these don't really matter to you. That's what I'm trying to explain. And last, I have a 4 feet long piece of wire, and this is going to help me uh, build the tail of my wasp. And again, I want the tail to be black. If I wanted the tail to be gold, then I would be using gold wire here. So it's all about preferences and how you want your wasp to look. And if you're only using one single color, then all these don't really matter to you. But if you want it to look just like mine, then you might want to follow exactly how I separate these wires. So let's go over again. I got 12 pieces of wire here. These are 12-inch long. I have 5 pieces. These are 7. I got 2 more pieces here. These are 14-inch long. I got a 1 piece here. This is 2 feet long. And this coil is 4 feet long. So this is what you're going to need to make the wasp exactly like mine. Now, as always, I always use these little glass beads. Actually, they're not glass, these are plastic, but you can use glass or whatever materials you need. The only important thing about these beads is that the little hole there has to be big enough for your wire. Sometimes they are smaller and the wire will not go through, so you just make sure that the wire can go through the beads. And as for the materials, again, my tape measure or a ruler, whatever you have on hand. I need my wire cutters. I need regular needle nose pliers here, and this little twister pin holder thingy. I'm gonna leave a link for this thing if you want it. It's not necessary, but it's a really useful tool if you're gonna be doing this wire art more often. It will help you twist the wires without hurting your hands, and it makes it so much easier. So And last, and before I forget, you're gonna need a piece of 12 gauge wire. This is copper, but you can use aluminum too. So I was almost about to forget this piece. It's going to help us to make some cool stuff with the tail of our wasp. Before I continue with the whole process, I want to remind everybody to uh, subscribe to the channel and help us with creating more content by supporting the channel. There is a thanks button that I just added to my YouTube that a couple of people have been uh, just nice enough to donate to this channel. So if you want to support this channel, go check out that thanks button. That would be deeply appreciated. Okay, now that we have all that materials and tools done, let's get started with the wasp. So I'm going to take both of my 14-inch long pieces of wire and I'm going to fold them in half like so, and I will be just squeezing the ends very tightly like that. This is what it should look like. And then I will take 3 of the 7-inch long pieces of wire. These are the yellow ones. Remember, I have 2 different colors. And I'm gonna gently just fold them in a U shape like that. Once I do that, I will take these 2 wires, and what I'm gonna do is place a wire, one of the 7-inch long wires like that, and I'm going to push one of the ends to one side and the other end to the other to just wrap it around it like that. Notice how the wire that goes to my left is over or on top of the one that goes to my right. I want all 3 wires to go the same way. I don't want to have any discrepancies because it just makes the process looks weird and wonky. Okay, now as you can see, I did exactly the same thing, and notice how they all look the same. The wire that goes this way is under the one that goes that way, so that's what we want. Now what I'm going to do next is try to push this gold wire lower to make this one look a little higher, and I'm going to fold the tip of it down like in a small little hook to prevent these wires to slip out. And this is also going to work as the stinger of our wasp. So we are building the tail at this point. Okay, so that's what it should look like right now. So now I'm looking at it from this way, and this is how you start it right here. Now we flip it like this, and I'm gonna take one of these wires and bend it into like a half circle, just like that. The distance between each end is about half an inch, so that's what you want. It doesn't have to be exact, but that's just more or less kind of thing. So, and then I'm taking the one on the other side, on the very back, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make a small half circle and wrap it around it to secure it. Let's go and do that again so you can see the process. Right, and then over here I'm just taking it and going over, and then I take it under and pull it to this side. I will be doing the same thing with the other side. There you go. This is a very simple technique that if you've been watching my videos, you know that I use it a lot. So it doesn't really have a trick or anything like that. It's just a simple wrapping technique, and it should look like this. Now what we're gonna do is I'm just going to pull each wire to the opposite side, and right here, this is so much wire that we do not need it. We're gonna have to get rid of it. So I'm going to just use my wire cutters and cut it as close as possible to the center without cutting any other wires. There you go. This is what it should look like. And if you have like wires sticking out, just use pliers and squeeze them down so that they don't stick out and hurt you. Okay, so we have our first step right here. This is what it should look like. Now I'm going to start building the rest of the body. Okay, now what I have here is I have 6 pieces of wire. These are 12 inch long, each one of them. And I have the 2 feet long piece of wire. So what I'm going to do first is fold all these 6 pieces of wire into a U shape like that. And I have 3 of each color. And I'm going to repeat the process that I did here, but this is going to be a different part of the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure about 1.5 inches, which I'm going to just put a mark there with my thumb and my finger. And I'm going to bring the first wire, whichever it is, it doesn't really matter. And I will be doing the same exact thing that we did to build the tail. See, this part here. There. And then I will take a different wire, different color, and I will place it right here. And don't worry about it if they move too much like that right now. We will adjust them at the end so they are not too far away or too close. So I'm gonna do this process with all of them, and I'll come back so we can shorten the video and make it less long. Okay, I have all 6 wires, one of each color. They're all staggered in this way. There's no 2 colors together of the same color. And the last one I'm going to do is this one. This is the 2 feet long, and you do not want to put this wire here. You want it like over here. This is going to be the last one you add to your project, like this. There you go. So we have all the short ones here, and the longest one is the last one. It's going to be right in front of him. Now here we can measure how much we want this to be, and it's about, that's where I want it. So that's where I'm going to start building the back of my spider this way. So I'm going to take the one in the very back, and I'm going to make another half circle about the same size of this one, and just wrap the wire around these 2 wires here. And once I do that, these 2 wires are secure. It's really hard for them to move. So now I can relax and continue doing the one over on the next side. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to go a little bit higher, not like that, like really exactly same size. I want it to be a little bit higher. So this is going to build the back of our wasp to be bigger and bigger. And then we're gonna start slowing down or making it smaller. But this one I want it to look a little bigger, and the next one is going to be even a little bigger, like that. You see the difference? I don't want it here, I want it a little higher, like that. There we go. And the other one about the same size. And the next one, I'm going to just start coming down. Instead of making it bigger, I'm about to make it about the same size. Trust me, this is going to make your wasp look a lot better if you follow this instruction. So I want this one to be about the same size as the last one. And the next one is going to be smaller. And smaller, like that. So we want to build a shape that looks like an eye, something like that. I still have one of these yellow ones, and I'm going to make it just about the same size. No need to go smaller. Okay, and here I want you to pay close attention to this one. So what I'm going to do is do the same thing. This is the longer wire, the last one we had, and I'm going to go under these 2 wires, But instead of bringing it this way, I'm going to pull it down like this. And once I get it about right here where the tail of my wasp is going to start, I'm going to use my finger to make a small U shape, and I'm going to bring it back up. And then I'm going to secure it. I'm going to go over and under and secure it. There you go. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this side. I'm going to go over and under, and instead of bringing it that way, I'm going to pull down like that and bring it about that much distance to the back, making sure that both wings kind of look about the same size. I know that they're not going to be exactly perfect, but the closer in size they are, the better it's going to look. Now this wire I'm going to go under and over to secure it. And there you go, folks. We did the hardest part. This is the hardest part. If you got this far, then everything else is going to be a little easier for you. All right, now I'm going to work on building the head of our wasps. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate these wires here, these two and these two. And I'm going to point these ones up because I want these wires to be the antennas of my wasp. And then these two wires here are going to be used to make the eyes. So I'm gonna take two of the beads that I mentioned at the beginning. I'm gonna put one through the wire. I'm going to cut off that much, and I'm gonna leave maybe this about a quarter of an inch just to secure the bead that it won't come out. And I'm going to make a small circle like that, and then I'm going to push the circle against the bead. This is going to help us make the eyes of our wasp. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side, okay? Okay, I did exactly the same thing. I haven't touched these wires, but these two wires right behind the eyes, I'm going to push them down and bring them to the front like that. As you can see, one of them is bigger than the other, so I'm going to get them about the same size, just like that. And what I'm going to do with these two wires is the next thing. Watch. I'm going to grab about a quarter of an inch from where the eyeball is to where I'm going to make a bend on the wire, and I'm going to bend it back, making like a triangle sharp shape like that. Now this wire here, I'm going to wrap it around the eyeball to secure it and make sure it stays there. There you go. It has to look like that, and this is what it looks like on the side. And then I will do the exact same thing with the other side. I'm going to bend the wire back and wrap it around the eyeball from the top, not from the back, from the top around. Notice how the wires ended up about the same, on the same spot. This is where the end of the wire is. This is what we want. So now if you want to make it a little fancy, you can squeeze this part here, and I'm gonna open them a little bit like that. I know it looks weird, but then I will bend the tips inwards like that. This is optional. I like my wasp to look that way. You don't have to do that. It looks just fine the way it was. And here I have the antennas. I think they're a little too long, so I'm going to cut off a little bit of them just like that. And what I'm going to do is make a sharp bend on them like that, and then point them down, but then bring them up. These little details make our wasp look so much cool. There you go. So we have the head finished. This is what it should look like. Now you should still have two more wires, and these are the 7-inch long wires. Okay, so these are going to be the decorations for our wings. Okay, and this is a perfect time to do this because we haven't messed with them yet, but now we're going to start decorating the wings. So all I need to do is find a gap. You see these gaps here? All I'm gonna do is go from under the wasp and just find a gap where the tips can go through it, like that. There you go. It has to be really close to the wings. Don't make it too way down here or too high up in the neck. It has to be really close to the wings. And then I'm going to push one of the tips to my left and the other one to my right. I know it looks a little confusing right now because everything is together and it looks like too many wires, but this is what it should look like. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to find a small gap somewhere in there, really close to the wings. Whichever gap can work. And I will push one of the tips or ends to the side and the other one to the other side, like that. There you go. Now with my fingers I'm going to shape this wing, just make it look a little more realistic, not just a loop. You know, I like it to be have some kind of shape. And there you go. That's what you do. And these two wires are going to help me just add a little bit of texture to my wings. I'm going to just cut this end. It's too long, and with my pliers I'm going to make a little hook right here. You see, that's what it looks like, and I'm going to squeeze it really hard to attach it to the wing. Now it's looking a lot better, and this one is going to go to the opposite side, like down instead of up. And right here, wherever your tip ends, if it's too long, you just cut off the rest and leave some extra for bending the wire down into like a hook shape, and use your pliers to attach to it. So this is what it should look like. And I will be doing the same thing with this wing. So I'll come back with the video. Okay, as you can see, I did the same thing with the wings. Now all I'm gonna do is kind of push them back very gently. Don't just push them back so hard because they can deform. I'm gonna push them to the back to look like this. They have to be center and look nice. There you go. Okay, now that we have that done, what I'm gonna do is gently with my fingers put my finger right in the middle, and with these two index and thumb I'm gonna push down on these wires just to make it look like it's, instead of being so flat, it's gonna look something like that. Okay, it was really flat, now it looks a little more three-dimensional. So I'm going to shape up the back of my wasp. All I'm gonna do is put my thumb right here and then put like a little hump right there, and then the tail is going to be lift up like that. As you can see, it's got this S shape, and if the head is looking too weird, looking too much down, you can just gently squeeze it or pull it up, and now that's what we have. This is what we want. We want this shape. Now don't mess with these things yet, we're going to get to them soon, but this is what you want. Now right here on this first thing that we made was tail, I'm going to use my pliers to push the wires up to make them look more three-dimensional again. So instead of being just a flat, now they look more three-dimensional, and instead of pushing this one up, I'm going to pull it down. You see, like that. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Now we have that. And now we're going to take a piece of aluminum wire or copper wire, the 12 gauge, And we're going to start wrapping our 4 feet long wire around it. You can do this by hand, or you can use a electric drill. I'm just going to demonstrate here how it's done it by hand, because it will be most commonly done by hand. And you gotta do this all the way until this uh 4 feet wire it's done all the way up. Okay, so this is what it should look like. And if it's becoming really hard to pull this out, all you need to do is kind of just go against how it twisted and just kind of loosen it up. You will know what I mean once you touch it. If you go against of the way that is rolled or wrapped, it'll come out loose easier, just like that. Because it just ties so hard that it will hard to come out. So just try to squeeze with your fingers on the opposite direction, and that'll help you bring it out like that. Now the next thing we need to do is stretch this out. I do not have a certain distance of how much you stretch it out. All I want is for these twisting things to look open, not close together. So if we want, we can measure this. Let's see how much I have so we can have a more accurate. So I expanded it about 25 inches. So something like that should work. Just expand it. The next thing I'm going to do is find somewhere in there that I can push one of the pieces of wires there through, and then I'm just going to fold it into like a hook to stay there and get a grip on it. So, and then I'm going to start wrapping this wire very gently around the tail of my wasp. Notice how I have my thumb here. This will help you so you don't get this wrapping too open or too far away from each other. So as you go, you are moving your thumb down this way, but not too far, so you don't, because once you go over to this side where it's smaller, it tends to want to separate too much, and we don't want that. We want this as close as possible to each other. Notice how I have my thumb here, and if I let loose, then this thing becomes more like it wants to go that way. So just keeping my thumb close to where I'm wrapping it, like that. There you go. That was kind of perfect. And if you think you will need more, maybe just stretch it out a little more. But that's what I wanted to do. So that worked out just fine. Just wrap the ends or the tip of the end around this part right here and squeeze it so it doesn't move. There you go. Now all I do is kind of just shape the tail into like kind of like a bean shape. It's not like straight or high up. It's kind of bending in like an angle. There you go. All right, so the next thing that we're going to work on is the legs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from here where the leg starts all the way to where the shortest wire ends. In this case, is this yellow one. It ends around 3.5 inches. So I'm going to just cut the other one about the same size. And since this one is 3.5 inches, this wire here or this leg is going to be 3 inches. So I'm going to make it like a half an inch shorter, because these wasps have the back leg is longer than the front legs all the time. And I'm going to make this one, since I make this one 3 inches, I'm going to make this one about 2.5 inches. So I'm going for each leg, I'm gonna cut out a half an inch, so they are not exactly the same size. See, this one is longer, then this one is a little shorter, and so on. And I'm gonna do the same thing with this side over here. And if for some reason the other side this leg was shorter than 3.5 inches, then just make this one the longest and just start cutting them, the rest of them smaller, if that makes sense. So if this one was smaller than this one, then just start cutting them smaller too, but make sure they're all about the same size, like that. So here I have a piece of wire, and this is a 1 inch long piece of wire. So what I'm gonna do is just start wrapping this wire around this back leg first, and I will measure how much I wrapped so we can get all of them exactly the same way. Well, at least this back leg has to be the same as the back leg on the other side. That's what I mean. So right here I'm just wrapping it around, and I will tell you how much I need here in a sec, so you can try to reproduce this the same way I'm doing it. So what I want here is have some extra legs without wrapping this wire. So as you can see here, I have from where the body of the wasp starts to where I'm going to stop, it's about 1.5 inches. So that's where I want to stop right there. So I'm gonna just cut off the excess. And what I'm going to do is on the next one, I'm going to, instead of going 1.5 inches, I'm going to be a little shorter, like 1.25 inches. I'm gonna take another piece of wire, and I'm gonna start wrapping it around it. And like I said, instead of going all the way to 1.5 inches, we're gonna go about 1.25 inches. And once I get this side done, the other side has to be exactly the same, so that all the legs kind of look the same. So what you can do is either you can put them on each, like next to each other, and you can see that I'm always only a few a few more wraps to be about the same size. This is about 1.25 inches, so that's where I'm going to stop. And this next leg is going to be even shorter, about 1 inch. So I'm going to do the same thing, wrap the wire around it, and I'm going to stop when I got 1 inch of this wrapping done. Okay, let's measure and see how much we have. We got a little more to go, a few more wraps. Let's see now. Yeah, that's about 1 inch. So that's where I'm going to stop. Now I'm going to cut off these wires too that I used just to attach the wire, and it'll be easier for me to wrap it if I put these wires through. So I'm just cutting off the excess. I don't want them there. And now you can either do this twisting by hand, which it's okay if you want to do it by hand. I have this little thing here that is my tool that I like, and this helps me so much. It's just faster, and it makes a really good job at twisting the wire. So if you don't have this tool, do not worry, you don't need it. But if you want to get one of these, I will leave a link under the description so you can get one. There you go. And everything that we just done here and how tapered they look is going to be the same on this side. So I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to do it on this side since you've seen this side, and I'll come back. Okay friends, so I got done the other side. Look how they look similar, like the back legs are the same size, the middle legs and the front legs. So now let's shape up these legs. So I'm gonna pull these legs, the back legs to the back, the middle ones stay in the middle, and the front legs I kind of push them down and to the front like that. This is going to help us shape up the legs. So I'm gonna start with the front legs. I'm gonna grab my pliers here. I'm gonna bend them straight up like that. From here, really close to the body, straight up. And then I'm going to fold maybe about half of the way where these wraps are, and I'm gonna fold them down like that. And then this right here at this little elbow thingy here, just go down again like that. And then with my fingers, I'm just going to shape them just like that. There you go. Now we go with the middle legs. We pull them down first and then fold them up like that. And where the middle is right here, bend them into like, oh, it's almost like a 90-degree angle. And then this one, bend it down too. And then just gently, you can add a little extra details if you do this. Now it looks like a real bug leg or insect leg. And the back leg is exactly the same. We go up, we kind of calculate where the middle is between these and these, and bend it down again. And then this part here, lower it down again. And you can do this too, bend it up like that. Now it's looking much more realistic. So let's do that with this side too. I'm gonna do it a little quicker. And you can give it whatever shape you want to the legs. This is just what I do because I want mine to look realistic. But if you find a better way or something that looks better in your opinion, that's fine too. You don't have to do it the way I do it. There you go. Okay, now I'm going to put it right here and just push it down. Make sure the tail looks okay. And this is an option thing. I'm going to add some wire around the waist of it. So I'm gonna grab a piece of wire and I'm gonna wrap it around it. I did not mention this piece of wire because this is an option. I'm just gonna do it. You don't have to, because I did not mention it at the beginning, but this is about a foot long piece of wire, so that should be good enough. But it's not a must. I just like the way it looks with this, but it's an option. Like I said, it might be a little too much, so we can cut off the rest of it here in a minute. There you go. Okay. Okay, friends, here is the finished product. I want to show you a couple more that I made in the past in different colors and combinations. So they look really cool. And they're a great addition for your insect gallery if you are following my tutorials. So yeah, I think they're pretty cool. Finally, I just want to thank everybody, and there's a couple people that have donated to my channel through the thanks button. So I invite everybody that if you want to support the channel, don't forget to click on that thanks button, like and share this video, and of course subscribe and click on the bell for any new tutorials that come out. Like always, comments and questions are welcome, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much.